All right, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans for Tuesday, April 12th, 2022. I'm trying to slow my pace down because my co-host Laura Biewer is running about 5 minutes late, skidding in sideways as she is teaching live today in California. My name is Bill Soroka. I'm the author of Sign and Thrive, How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent, and founder of the Notary Business Builder Advanced Notary Mastermind. It is my pleasure to be here with you on a Tuesday afternoon. The TNT call is kind of like an old-fashioned call-in radio show, except that we're live on Zoom and video, and it's a chance for you to ask your questions. When you do so, I've got a framework that I'm just going to pull up here and share. Thanks to Renee Lamb for putting this together for us. This just helps the calls run very efficiently. When you're going to ask a question here, and I got to keep everybody on mute, please. There we go. I'm just going to take care of that right there. Guys, when you're called on after you raise your hand using the Zoom raise hand feature, please tell us what state you're in and then jump right into it. Give us maybe one sentence of context, ask your question. There's two types of questions here. You can ask a very specific question or maybe even a general question. There's a couple of examples up here on the screen for you as well. And then put yourself on mute and just sit back and receive the answer. If Laura or myself have some additional follow-up questions or we need some clarity, we'll definitely jump in and ask those of you. And then, of course, we can have a little bit of dialogue too as we figure out and help you out as much as we can to help you get the answer that you need. All right. Before we jump into questions, there is a couple of announcements that I just wanted to make, and I am definitely slowing down here to give Laura enough time to jump on. But since I see Dee Dee's question, hi, Dee Dee. No, TNT is not part of Notary Business Builder, so it's not on the event calendar. The events that are in Notary Business Builder are far more advanced, not necessarily for every notary. So the TNT is kind of open and designed for everyone of all levels, whereas Notary Business Builder is definitely on the advanced side. So we do not put that on the calendar. All right, couple of events that are coming up that I really want you to know about. First is we've been talking about Jim Allen and his Google My Business or Google Business Profile live teaching class for notaries. It is people are going crazy for this course and already getting tremendous results from it. His next class is Sunday, April 24th. If you want to participate in that, I highly encourage you to do so. You just go to notarycoach.com, scroll down a little bit, and I've got that event right there on the homepage because he's doing such an incredible job on that. Sundays, it's 9 a.m. Eastern time, so super early for us on the West Coast. But it's worth waking up early, and definitely for you on the East Coast if you're trying to get more specialty or general notary work or any of the other extra services that we provide, apostille, fingerprinting, anything that you need a digital presence for, you're going to want a class like that. Notarycoach.com is where you can find that. The other announcement is on behalf of Laura. Her real world training is coming up for New York, and it is filling up quickly. If you want to participate in that, it's this coming Saturday, which is what? April 16th. April 16th at 10 a.m. Eastern time for New York. I'll put the link inside there. Be sure to use the PEEPS coupon code so you can save that $70. It makes the price about $97. And those teachings will help you come out a more competent and confident notary in New York. All right, we got a couple more announcements. I'll integrate those a little later in today's call. Let's jump in. Oh, there's Laura right there. Perfect timing, Laura.
Thank you.
Almost like we planned it that way. Thanks for being here, Laura. Do you want to introduce yourself real quick? I just told them about New York.
Beautiful. Yeah. And the seats are selling fast because I got more today. So I'm Laura, founder of Coach Me Laura and the Notary Symposium, the annual event for notaries by notaries every November. And I co-host this with Bill Soroka and excited to see you all.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for making the time for us, Laura. I know you've got a crazy day. All right, we jumped in, we went up through the framework of the questions, and now we're going to get started. Debbie H. from California. If you'd unmute, we know you're in California. How can we help?
Hi, my question is primarily, I think, for Laura, because she's a notary in California. If you're doing documents that are out-of-state documents, do you use those notarization certificates, or do you always add your own with the California wording?
That is such a great question for California notaries because it depends. I love that kind of answer. It just depends. I may use an out-of-state certificate if it does not include any representative capacity, meaning a title that they are representing something like a trust or a company or another person like attorney in fact. So as long as it's not asking me to certify that, the answer is yes, I will always use their certificate first. If it violates that rule, then I'll go back and use the California one instead.
So it asked me to sign, and then it says resides at. I put the county. Should I have put my address?
I don't put my street address. I usually put the county in California.
Okay.
The county I reside in.
Right.
Sometimes that's not your principal place of business, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, great question. Gloria Holt, hello and welcome.
Hi, Gloria Holt, the street legal notary from Southern California. My question just has to do with Thumbtack. What's your take on that? I've been getting a lot of hits on that thing, although I didn't set a budget. I guess you just pay per lead. I don't know if anybody has any experience with it, if it's worthwhile or not.
Yeah, great question. Laura, do you have any?
Yeah, I have a little experience with it and I decided it wasn't worth it for me. So I chose not to continue with it. I found that the leads were for notary work where they want to come to an office. A lot of those leads were not looking for mobile work.
And then when I tried it, Gloria, I kind of had a similar experience, but I also hit a couple of home runs with it too. So sometimes I would find appointments that really made it worthwhile, that kind of paid for some of the leads that I had, that really kind of didn't work out. I have talked to notaries though that are in other geographic locations that really thrive with a Thumbtack, and their Thumbtack is tied into, is it Nextdoor now? One of those other apps, it's kind of tied into that too. So I think it just kind of depends. Here's the thing. Results never lie, right? So if you're getting results from it and it's working for you, keep it and tweak it. See if you can optimize it and scale it up a little bit. If you're using it and you're not liking the leads, maybe there's a way you're showing up on there that's attracting the wrong kind of clients. Maybe you can adjust the wording, play with it a little bit and see if you can find a way to optimize it. I think everything is optimizable when we look at results. Sorry, we got some background noise there. If you're willing to put in the time, right? So it's a part of the evaluation process. It can be burdensome and time consuming, but I have found that if I just spend a few minutes looking at my leads and saying, maybe they're all asking for free notary, as Laura said, they want to go somewhere. Maybe I don't have the right keywords in my ad or my profile or how it's coming across. Maybe I can make an adjustment.
All right, great. Thank you very much. That's helpful.
All right, you're so welcome. Thanks for being here. Hey, let's see. It looks like Randy Venters is next on the list from Washington.
Hi, yes, I'm in Washington. I've got a few questions related to a specific signing I had last week on Friday. My first one was, so it was with an attorney. What is a special master? And specifically, it was two people. What I got was two people are divorced, and one person wanted to sell a property, the other one didn't. So the judge was appointing this attorney to represent the person that didn't want to sell. And I was just wondering what a special master is as a title.
That's interesting. I haven't heard that. Laura, are you familiar with that? And you're on mute, just so you know. She's so good. Laura, you're still on mute.
I haven't heard that title, but I have gone to the courthouse where I have notarized the signature of the clerk of the court for a court order when a sale happened, even though one of the parties didn't want to sell. So I don't know if that's what he's talking about. Otherwise, I don't know what a special master is.
Okay. And then my second question is so she was supposed to sign, Jane Doe by, Ali Smith, comma, special master. And she refused to sign any of the documents that way. And I even showed her the instructions from the title office saying that's how she was supposed to sign. And she refused to sign that way. She said she's done 4 of these already this year, and she's not going to sign that way. The wording underneath the signature by her signing it, she's agreeing that that is her title. And I said, well, okay, well, here's the instructions they gave me. And she was arguing with me. I said, I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just telling you that this is the instructions they gave me. I can call the title office. And then, of course, I couldn't get a hold of the title office. So what do you do? And one is that they want it signed a particular way, and do they have to sign it that way with the full verbiage that's underneath?
So, and I know, Laura, you'll have a great opinion on this too, but this is no different than any other situation, right? We can't force people how to sign. I think you handled it just right. Laura, do you have any?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. First of all, to instruct somebody how to sign is the unauthorized practice of law. It's fine to point out the instructions, but if the signer doesn't want to do it, I'd note in my journal, I pointed it out, they said no. And if it gets rejected and you have to come back, somebody's gonna have to pay for that again.
Okay. I guess more my question is like, legally speaking, and maybe you guys can speak or don't want to speak to this, is she right saying that by her signing, she's agreeing that her title is whatever's typed below the signature line?
That's a legal question, Randy, and we can't answer legal questions.
Right. Okay. And then my next question is, she was being very difficult the whole time. She made me wait outside her office for about 5 minutes while she cleared office space on her desk. And then she came in, the first thing she said was, oh, you don't have to wear that mask. That's why we have to do this the second time, because the first notary came in and I wouldn't wear a mask. And so she left. And then I tried to swear her in, and I said, you are this person, you understand what you're doing. And she's like, nope, I don't know I don't have any idea what I'm doing. I don't know what this is. And I said, well, okay, I get that you're joking, but this is serious. I need you to affirm yes. And she kind of blew me off again. And then after I stopped and kind of stared at her, she said yes. Kind of, how do you handle those situations when people are just being very combative?
Laura, what do you say?
Well, I think part of what you said, Randy, is you pointed out it's serious, you need an answer, and then you stopped. You stopped and you let it wait for her to make the next move. If you can't complete the notarization properly, compliantly, then you're going to end up having to stop the signing. So just to avoid that, letting them know what you're requiring, and then silence. Let the silence stretch out. Don't be afraid of it.
You remember too that a lot of the public is not used to notaries that know what they're doing. So they may have never been put under oath before for some of these acts. So they might not realize that you're being serious or the enormity of the role that they're playing, or the importance of the notarial ceremony. So I think you handled it just fine, but that's exactly how you handle it. And I like to keep things light, right? I'm not here to crush the mood of an environment by just being can't think of the right word for it right now, but I like to have a little bit of fun too. Yeah. And I think you handled it just right. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know this is kind of fun, but I need you to, we have to take this seriously. This is an important part of the entire process. There have been there have been attorneys in particular that fight me on it sometimes, and I've had to walk away from an appointment before because he just was not interested in the oath. But I can't do my job if he doesn't take that oath in that particular role. So it's okay to walk away.
All right.
You don't
All
just
right.
have to
Thank
roll
you.
over if you can't do your job. All right. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is I did a quick Google search for special master by court order, and I found the answer to your question on what a special master is. So you might check that out on Wikipedia. In the law of the United States, a special master is generally a subordinate official appointed by a judge to make sure that judicial orders are actually followed, or in the alternative, to hear evidence on behalf of the judge and make recommendations to the judge as to the disposition of a matter.
It sounds similar to what I mentioned where I go into the courthouse and somebody else is signing for the deed, even though they're an officer of the court, they're not on the deed to begin with, but their signature is going to enforce that the order gets carried out, the sale was going to happen.
I guess that happens when two parties just do not get along.
Exactly. I've done those 4 or 5 times where, yeah, it was a more than contentious.
All right. Hopefully we don't have too many of those. Emily, so nice to see you on the call today. Would you like to unmute? Tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm in California. And I have a question. I was noticing your examples at the beginning of this video. And actually, I saw a very good question about the home builders business. How do you get started going after home builders business?
That's a really great question. And that's a passion of mine because that's how I have built my business. And I had the pleasure of, for the NNA Success Summit this spring, sharing the stage with Jen Neitzel, and we got a chance to talk about this. So there's a couple of points. I don't want to take up too much time of TNT on it, but I love talking about it. So one of the most important things to remember is that home builders are home builders. They build homes or communities. And then very oftentimes they'll have either own their own title escrow company, or they'll have a strategic partnership with another mainstream title escrow company that they do business with that handle their closings. That's 2 ways. They'll either own their own, have a strategic partnership, or the third option, usually for smaller home builders, is it's all willy-nilly. It's whoever the buyer wants to use, which is usually guided by their real estate agent. They can use it that way. So the first 2 are what we tend to focus on. So when you think about it that way, it's pure relationships. When we talk about going escrow direct, it's almost the exact same thing, except you do a little more research on the front end. Say Mary Kay Homes. You can Google Mary Kay Homes escrow or Mary Kay Homes title company or whatever it might be, and you'll start to see a trend. Sometimes it's really obvious. It's Mary Kay title and escrow, you know. Sometimes it's not. You'll start to see that they're doing business with Thomas title in your area, and it will have the escrow officer's name because they have a strategic partnership with them. So it just boils right back down to these standard escrow direct relationships. And if you want to see the exact steps I took, my daily dues in my morning mastery course, which is included in Sign and Thrive, it's included in NBB. It was available for free for many, many years. You might have access to that too, Emily. So you can check that out and how to cultivate those types of relationships. Some of the keywords and strategies that they're looking for, though, is a notary that is very efficient, meaning their signings have to go super smooth, 0 mistakes or real quick and easy mistakes to fix, because a lot of times they're closing like right away. They're signing, they're getting keys. So things have to run. The other side of this too is a lot of times you'll be signing in the title company's office. and they'll just bring clients to you, and you'll just sit in a conference room and you just signings all day long. But you're part of their team. You're in the office, and that's going to require getting along with other people really well. That's super important. Taking ownership of the signing situation so the signers feel special. They're not going to know there's a difference between you and the rest of the office. And you got to have thick skin. It's a high stress environment. People tend to snap, yell. Things go kind of crazy at the end of the month, especially. So you've got to just realize it's not you and not to take it personally. Was that helpful, Emily?
Yes, that's very helpful. Okay. Thanks a lot. That gives me a lot to consider.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. I really recommend the daily dues, because if you want to work in the home builder business, it's a great business to be in right now. Write down, explore your area, find out which home builders are building neighborhoods, find out which title escrow companies they're aligned with, and start cultivating relationships. 3 easy steps.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Emily. Thanks for being here. Laura, did you have anything you wanted to?
No, it's not my wheelhouse. So great. Thank you.
Perfect. Phil Shannon, always a pleasure seeing you on the TNT calls. What's going on?
It's been a while, and I apologize to everybody who may have tried. In fact, I saw a few people tried to jump on last week, and I think I was traveling to Oklahoma or somewhere. I've been so many different places lately, I kind of forget. But it's always great to see my notary family, my great notary community. Got a chance to spend a little bit of time with Laura yesterday. That was awesome. Thank you, Laura. And just appreciate all of you. But as you know, today, right after TNT, we've got a presentation. And guys, I just came back from our international convention where I was able to speak in front of 6,000 crazies. And yes, they are crazy. And had a great time. And some announcements that came through that came through at the international convention will be real important to the presentation that I'm going to be doing 5 minutes after the end of TNT. So please join me. I see Bill's already put up the link at the bottom of the page. If you want to contact me, I'll put my phone number in the chat, and you can contact me with the link as well. But either way is fine. But again, look forward to seeing all of you, showing you how last year alone, I was able to help over 70 notaries earn an additional source of income, help hundreds and hundreds get a very valuable service. So I always appreciate Laura and Bill giving me the opportunity to say hello. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Phil. Justin Jones, man, it feels like it's been forever. Thanks for being here in Tennessee. How can we help today?
Thank you for having me. So my question is in regards to general notary work. Tennessee does not have any statutory notary fees. And so I'm trying to figure out how to price myself. And I'm not necessarily looking for a figure, but more of an idea of how to come up with that figure. Should I be basing it on travel? Should I be basing it on time? Should I be basing it on difficulty? What should go into a pricing structure for general notary work?
Oh, what a great question. I know this is right up Laura's alley too, but I say all of those 3. And I love that Tennessee has this rule. It's what 2 grown adults agree upon. That is the fair rate. So Laura, what do you say?
So as Bill said, all of that goes into it. I do a tier structure. And it's based on my time of travel. So my first tier is my neighborhood tier, my city, and I set a base rate there. And then it goes out to the cities that surround my city. And then I have a base rate there. And then anything beyond that is negotiated case by case. And then within the tier, I look at the complexity of the job. So it's not just how long it takes me to get there, but how much extra time is it going to take from me because of special requirements. For instance, hospitals, it's not the same fee as going to your house because I got to park far away. I might have to pay for parking. I've got to go through a whole rigmarole just to get in the building. Then I got to navigate up to their room. I may be interrupted because of a procedure, a nurse or a doctor. And so I set that fee higher than I would just going to somebody's home where I'm in and out in 10 minutes. And then the same thing, if it's the next layer out, that's my travel fee, and I increase that based on if there's additional requirements for me besides just going into their home. And so that's how I do it.
Laura, would you say that time has, like if you had to apply a weight or a value on each one of your factors there, does time factor in more?
Time is my number one factor.
And then what does the, let me ask it this way. Does competitor rate tie into your decision or your rate at all?
Not really. My rate is based on what I believe my time is valued at and what I bring to my customers, and other notaries may or may not bring that same amount of knowledge, skill, expertise, availability that I bring. And so I don't pay attention to what other people charge. And if I'm a higher price notary, I don't seem to have any issues with getting my price, because I really look at what the scope of the job is rather than what the price of a notarization is.
Yeah, this is a huge point, Justin. I'm so glad you sparked this. I'm going to just kind of hijack the conversation for a minute with Laura on the call, because it's not always about price. Your customer thinks it's always about price. That's the first question out of their mind, but they've got a problem that they need you to help solve. And if you can take control of a service call or a sales call, is really what it comes down to. When somebody calls you, that's your opportunity to demonstrate your value. And like, this is in writing this book with Laura, I've really got an opportunity to drill into her process. Like, what makes it different? Yeah, knowing your value, absolutely, that's important. But it's how this phone call gets navigated that really is the deciding factor. So it's listening, it's asking the right probing questions, letting them know that, hey, there's something else happening here. I'm not just a lump of meat over here with a stamp that stamps a piece of paper, right? There's more to this. So you ask those questions to really demonstrate that. Then you quote the scope of the work. Laura repeats it back. Okay, so here's what you need me to do. This, it sounds like you're going to need me to print this out. You're going to need me to drop the documents here. Like, really build it up. It's called offer stacking. Like, here's all the things I'm about to do for you. And then you tie in the price. So you boost that value, then you quote the price, and then you close the deal. Does that work for you? When would you like to set this appointment? That's how you close the deal. You make it less about money and more about the value. Is that helpful at all, Justin? Awesome. Great question. Love being able to talk about that. Yes. Offer stacking. All right. Real quick, I just want to, I was terrible at announcing this, but the new Sign and Thrive podcast for notaries is out and available. Jennifer Cooper has been on as a guest already. Nick from Jurat Inc. has already been a guest already. Guys, I'm going to post the link to that too. If you'd like to listen in on that, it's open to everybody. Anybody can listen in, and we're having really great conversations on that. Shantice, thank you so much for being here and your patience. You want to unmute, tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help.
Hello, everyone. I am Shantice. I am in the state of Maryland. My question is, I have a closing for a California property. And for some reason, there was an issue with the prior notary. This is a re-sign. And they wanted to make sure that I had California addenda. And when I reviewed the documents, it already had California verbiage on it. And I wanted to be sure there wasn't anything that I was missing. This is a refi, and one for primary residence, one for investment property. And the other question I had was, would I just be putting the state of Maryland, whatever county that we're in, and leave the California verbiage on there?
Good question. Laura, what do you think?
So every state gives direction to their notaries in their handbook regarding the rules around their certificates or certificate sufficiency. And so if the California verbiage does not conflict with anything in Maryland, and has at least the components that Maryland requires, then you could fill out the California certificate and just make it state of Maryland and your county, and then fill out the rest. There is a penalty of perjury, and it probably will say state of California. I'd strike California and write your own state there as well, and then you could use it. When you're not sure or can't find that information, I would replace it with my Maryland acknowledgement. I'm assuming it's an acknowledgement, because there's a reciprocity amongst all 50 states, that acknowledgements would be accepted from any state that was performed legally in the state where it happened.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Great question. Cornica from Florida. Thanks for being here. How can we help today?
So this goes back to maybe a couple of questions ago. I am obviously in Florida, and I have been doing direct title work. My question is, do you guys bring anything to your new buyers? So for example, my signings had been taking place in the title company's office. For some reason, they like to send me out now, which is no problem. Because sometimes it's closer for me to travel to the buyer's homes. However, it's so anticlimactic because often the buyer is there along with their real estate agent, and I just sign the paperwork, and then it's like, hey, congratulations, you bought a new house. And if we do it in the title office, the title company provides, you know, wine bottles, whatever it is they provide. Me as a notary, I don't, I'm trying to find something cost effective to still make it exciting because they've just bought a new house. I've done tons of, you know, first time home buyer sellings, and I just feel bad just being like, okay, thanks, it was a pleasure, and then leaving, and kind of like leaving them empty handed. So I'm looking for a lead on like cheap gifts, I guess. Cheap but valuable.
Cheap but valuable. I love that. So
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from Laura on this too. And I'll just say, Cornica, I see two opportunities here. The first one is a way for you to connect with this signer on your own level in your notary business. And maybe it would be an elevated type, just handwritten card. I don't think they're going to be expecting a whole lot necessarily from you,
Right.
but I can see a higher quality paper, maybe something shiny, something that's just like, it's been such a pleasure being a part of this with you. Congratulations, here's your card. And maybe you can find other businesses or something that would partner in on that, like a local Ace Hardware. Those are individually owned, like little franchise type things. Maybe they'd kick in something for you. The other one is, I think this is a great way for you to further solidify or fortify the relationship that you have with the escrow company. Like, let them know that, hey, I'm willing to do this. If you want to put together, let's say like 5 gift bags a week or whatever it is, and you keep them at home or in your car, so you have those and you can deliver them on behalf of the title company, I think that could be huge. That way there's less friction about doing a mobile signing, because they get the pomp and circumstance, they get the ceremony part too, even with you. So I think there could be a really great opportunity there. Laura, what do you think?
And I would add the realtor who's there, because aren't they going to be surprised when you have a little something, whether it's a nice card or some other small gifty that says this was an important moment. I think you're going to impress the realtor, and those are great relationships to be building.
Okay. And just to clarify, the title company is open to me going to pick up their gift bags and everything.
Oh, great.
They're way far away. They're like,
Oh.
that adds into my travel time quite a bit. But definitely, and then it's more from the real estate agents that I'm getting. I feel like there's a little flack, not flack necessarily. They just are surprised that the title company hasn't sent me anything to send to give, and they send me pens and packets. You know, I get nice folders, but I don't have anything beyond that. And I am very open. They compensate me well. I'm very open to buying something on my own. I just don't know what is appropriate. I don't drink wine. I don't know anything about it. Like, I was looking at door knockers, you know, the thing, but those are a little out of my price range. So, but I think I'll hit up Ace Hardware and maybe find something local like that. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, and
You'd
I
be like,
don't think it would be your responsibility, right? Like, and I think there's a way to
Yeah.
batch this. I love that it sounds like you're really open-minded and willing to work.
Mhm.
So if the escrow officers see the value already, they're willing to do this for you, batch it. If you can make one trip to their office and get maybe 20 of them, if you got a place to store those, store them at your house, in your garage, whatever it is. So you always have them on hand, and then you're not going there for every signing. You don't have to make that extra trip, right?
okay.
Awesome. Great problem to have, Cornica. I love it.
Yeah.
Bill, can I interject for a second?
Hi, Cami.
Hey,
You're
Bill, can I
breaking up
interject just
really
for a
bad.
second? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm driving, so I may not be able to hear right. Can you hear me okay now?
We can, yeah. What's up?
Can you hear me okay? Okay, I just wanted to interject really quickly because I know what she's talking about. And I do this a lot. So I have some really nice pens, and I also have these little notebooks that I give when I go to a signing for a buyer or a seller that they can take notes. A lot of times the real estate agents will request me and they will be on site with me. So normally the real estate agent will have a nice bottle of wine or something for their client, but I also carry a sold sign, and for
And she's gone.
Lost her and she's gone.
But I love that. It sounds like she's going to say she has the sold sign. So she probably takes a picture and makes that part of the ceremony as well. I see some other people commenting on that too.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, send out cards in that regard really helped me stand out too, because you can take a picture on your phone with
Right.
cool, like the house, the signing, the pets, whatever it might be. And when you get out to the car, you can upload that right to the front of the card. Boom, bang, boom. In 7 to
Yeah.
10 days, they've got a custom card in your handwriting in their mailbox. It's super cool. All right. Great suggestion. And thank you, Cami, for that brief suggestion there. Cynthia in Texas, thanks so much for being here. How can we help?
Hello, Bill. Hello, Laura. Can y'all
Hi.
hear me?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay, great. I have a question about, I was wondering about I was in a group and they were talking about witnessing a safety deposit box. Is that something that you have to have special training for, or that it's just under notary, like general notary work?
Yeah, great question. Laura, what do you say about that?
I don't know if you need special training, but you do need to know what's required of the notary, which is to be present at the time of the opening of the box, be prepared to inventory, meaning create the written list of what was found in the box. And you will have to sign that, and a copy of that is going to go to the lessee of the box, and the original stays with the financial institution. And some financial institutions have their own form, like Bank of America, and some are expecting you to have some kind of format. So you might want to check Texas statute to see if there's a format that is usable for you to create the details, which includes the name of the lessee and the date that the box was, opened, and who was there witnessing this event.
Okay, thank you. And so you would just market to banks for that? That's it, right?
Well, that's banks. Who else has safe deposit boxes?
Yeah.
I don't know if brokerage houses, I don't think they would have them. I think they'd be banks. I don't even think credit unions have them. Some may.
Okay.
But you would market to the ones that they have them.
Okay, so one last question. So on things that I may have, like flyers or whatever else where I list my services, how would I list that? Like,
You could list it at safe deposit box inventory.
Okay.
Actually, the way they name it in the law, you could just say it that way, how it's stated in your statute.
Oh, okay.
In your
Okay.
handbook.
Okay.
Yeah. And then remember too, Cynthia, that's a really niche item. So, and for that to be spelled out on a flyer or something like that, unless it's specifically towards bank managers, I think it would get more value if you added that to your digital presence, your Google business profile, your website, and you can be talking about that. Because, so think about a branch manager who's at a bank, who's got this thing they have to do. Some of them batch them, so they just do it 2 or 3
Yeah.
times a year or every quarter. Sometimes it's a little more than that. They've got to have an independent third party in a notary public to witness this. Where are they going to find them? It could be directory listings. It could be just simply Google. They're just going to Google and see what notaries are around them. And they might say safe deposit notary. They might be using words like that, or the verbiage from the statute. So that's what you want to blend in. You might want to write about it after you do some research and you learn about what the state statutes is.
Right.
I guarantee you, nobody reads state statutes. So if you read it and you can clarify things for people and write a blog
Yeah.
article using those keywords, that's how they're going to find you.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, you
Absolutely.
bet.
And typically what I find is there's no regulated way to charge for that service. Again, you can check your statutes, but most of the ones I have found, it's usually by time. You can do by the box, you can do it by the hour, however, depending on what the scope of the job is.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Thanks for being here, Cynthia. Great question. Janae in Florida. Hi, Janae.
Hey, how are you? Again.
Excellent. Yeah, exactly. Hi.
I have a question. Hey, Laura.
Hi.
Well, one question I just got because I had a call came in from my Google from someone that's flying internationally with a minor. He's taking his younger brother to Peru, and he wanted to know if there is a document that needed to be notarized and if I could do that. I said, well, if you have a document, I could notarize it, but I told him I can't advise him on what document he would need. And so I know I can't give him that advice, but I was just wondering, is that something that you have to have a document for a minor if you're flying internationally?
I would say most likely yes, because they're checking to make sure that the child's other parent, if they're going with one, or both parents, if they're not a parent, they're a grandparent or some other relationship, that they have permission to be taking this child out of the state or out of the country. And that is a big portion of my business, are consent to travel for minor letters. And sometimes they can download it from the internet, they can handwrite it themselves. That indicates who the child is, where they're going, and what their relationship to the child is, and that they have permission, and it's signed by the parents not traveling.
Oh, okay, so the parents would be the ones that I would be notarizing the document for.
The parent or parents that are not traveling, non-traveling parent or parents.
And you said they can download that on the
Yeah, they could Google it. Or they could handwrite it out themselves.
Oh, and then I would just attach either whatever they would prefer, like an acknowledgement.
Yeah, well, most of them have a notarial act on it, and it may or may not be the right wording for Florida, but you could replace it with the correct one.
Okay. Awesome. And that question just came up just now, but my other question / encouragement, I recently had an opportunity as I was dropping off docs to one of my clients that I had been trying to get in-office work for a while now. And they were asking me about the situation had changed. And so they asked me what my rates are to do in-office closings. I gave them my rates and they said, well, we're trying to train new people, but it's going to be a while before they get trained. And I told them my background is teaching, and that's what I'm working. I am helping new notaries in Florida. And so I told them I can help train your people. And so she was like, okay, so can you start next Friday? And so I'm just, I'm working out. I've been talking to a few people to try to get an idea of pricing and how I should charge for that, because she has 3 people on her team and she wants me to come in and do in-person trainings on a Friday, which is busy day, my busiest day of the week, usually as a notary. And so any ideas on that or feedback, I'm excited about it. But you know, even though it takes out some of my business, but I enjoy teaching and training, and it also helps me with developing the relationship with my clients. So any feedback on that would be helpful.
Awesome opportunity. That just speaks volumes about the relationship with you too. Laura, do you have any initial feedback or ideas for
I
her?
really don't, because I don't do in office. So I really don't have experience in pricing for that.
What about for training though? Because she's going to be a trainer. Any suggestions as a teacher?
Well, I guess I didn't quite hear everything. What are you teaching specifically, Janae?
So I would be training her team, which is about 3 people on her team. It's a small real estate attorney's office, on how to do closings. They're very happy with my the way they always get great reviews from me, from their clients when I sign. So now she wants me to train her new people in her office how to do closing. So I would be teaching them, first of all, notary,
Okay.
specific notary laws in Florida, and then how to do closings.
All right. So you're going to have 2 parts to it. One is skill building. That's just knowing how to complete the notarization part correctly. And the other part is dealing with the documents. So have you done this before would be my first question.
So I have been working one-on-one with notaries, mentoring and training notaries here in Florida. So I kind of have it broken down into like 2 or 3 sessions. Of like,
did you have it formally written down? Do you have like a roadmap of what you're going to cover, and then go back inside the roadmap and start breaking it out, each one of those topics that are in the roadmap, so that you have a specific order that makes sense for how they're taking in the information? So you might start with the skill part first, and then you get into, now here's how we implement that skill. And then you'd have a roadmap for that second part. The training I do, I always think, what is it that I'm trying to get them to understand or learn, and the big picture. And then I bring it back down to say, okay, well, what do they need to know first? Then what do they need to know? Then what do they need to know? And when I do the training, I tend to say what I'm going to tell you. I tell you what I'm going to tell you, right? Standard training. And then I summarize what I told you, right? So they heard it about 3 times. So I guess those would be a few of my tips for how I put together my training. And I do a lot of research in terms of looking at statutes for the notary part, checking on multiple resources regarding presentation of documents, and what method are you planning to share? There's more than one way to present documents in a closing. It's going to be your method. That's what they know. That's what she likes. So have you documented? It's one thing to have a casual conversation like we're having right now, and I say, oh yeah, I use two sets of documents. This is how I do it. It's different to actually have it documented and then decide what if you're going to use a PowerPoint or anything else to enhance that presentation.
Did you find it?
And then I love that, Laura. Great feedback. And then Janae, as far as your pricing goes, I think this is where, and I think Laura and I have both been through this, where you've got to kind of determine your value. But here's the reality. If you are doing that, you're not building your business. You're not working on your particular business. Right. This might be another revenue stream for you, and you want it to be a real revenue stream. And I can tell you that trainers that come in to a facility like that, they get paid really well, typically. So it's hard to quote exactly what that would be, but it's going to be significant usually. And we can talk about that privately too, because it's not, it's going to depend on a lot of different factors, but there's no reason that shouldn't be $400 to $1,000 for that level of training, especially if you're going to do a multi-day. If you're doing multi-sessions, then you're going to really have to increase that fee.
And I just want to add to that, because I developed a training program for estate planning for a company, a legal plan company in Southern California. And they paid me $500 just to document what the training would be. Then they approved that. Then they offered separately from that, the actual presentation of the training, because they weren't sure whether they wanted me to do it or they were going to try to do it themselves. So there were like 2 separate pieces of the pie. I spent my time developing that training program. I was paid for that. And then they were going to pay me when and if I actually delivered it myself. And also whether I have to go in person or Zoom is another consideration.
Yep.
Yeah, it's in person on a Friday.
Top dollar. And again, this is offer stacking that we talked about a little
Right.
bit earlier, right? So you don't want to just come out and say, well, it's $1,000. You want to say, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these 3 novice paralegals, and I'm going to teach them my specific strategies that you've come to know, like, and trust, and you love the way I do things. I'm going to get them up to speed with me, and we're going to break this under 3 different sessions. So they're going to come out as rock stars. And my price for doing that is this.
Got it. And this is kind of what, like Laura said, or this is my wheelhouse. I was a teacher and before doing this, and this is what I love to do is teach and train.
Yeah.
So this is actually something I love doing.
Awesome.
So
awesome. Well, and this is how it works out though. When you do something you love, the money does follow you. So so you have to honor that, right? You don't want to say, oh, I love doing it, so I'll just do it for $100 today. You know, you don't want to kick the universe in the shin when it delivers an opportunity for you. You want to honor it with a fair
awesome.
price.
Thank you, guys.
Yep, you bet, Janae. Congratulations. That's huge. Guys, real quick, before I bring up the next question, I want to just a really cool announcement that I will be, there's several cool notary events that are live and in person this year. One of the ones I'll be traveling to is the Sustainable Notary Conference in Norfolk, Virginia in June. And I want to introduce you real quick to Renee Dentman, who is the organizer and facilitator of that event. She's just going to pop in and tell us what to expect at Sustainable Notary Conference. Renee, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to have Bill Soroka live in Virginia to talk about the sustainable model and just what the Sustainable Notary Conference is. And we're super excited. It's on a Saturday and a Sunday. And myself, I am a notary, I'm an accountant, and I am a serial entrepreneur, right? And I think that when it comes to learning, what makes this conference a little bit different than a lot of other conferences, we are the Notary Business School. We teach you business. We teach you your front office. We're going to teach you everything that you need to know to keep you sustainable, right? And when you have a sustainable business, you don't have to worry about high gas prices. You don't have to worry about pivoting, right? Because you have the basis of foundation. So I'm super excited for Bill to come to change our minds, right? Once I can change your mind, I can change your life, right? But it's the mind that you need, right? And then up next, we have a couple things: notary taxation, notary business structure, notary accounting, notary funding. We have a lot of players in the Ron ability just to talk about where's Ron going, documentation and money talk. It's good to make the money, but what are you doing with the money? How are you managing the money? And also, that's just how you grow. We talk about generational wealth, but here we're really going to implement actionable steps. So you don't have to wait about that. So I think that what makes me different is I'm the post, right? You already got the money, but I'm going to help you maintain it and compound it. So that's what the Notary Conference is about.
Awesome, Renee. I'm so excited, and I'm excited. I want to just honor you too, because putting on a live in-person event is a huge deal. And I just appreciate you including me on that. So thank you so much. If you can't get tickets to the National Notary Association's conference anymore, it's been sold out since last year, and it's on the West Coast. If you're on the East Coast and you're craving a conference where you can meet, mingle, and learn with your fellow notaries, join me there on June 18th and 19th. And I have the link. It's notarycoach.com. Right on my homepage. You can get your tickets right there, and I'll post it in the chat for you again. Thanks a lot, Renee. Really appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And one of our sponsors is here with us, Ms. Coach Miller. She actually sponsored the event. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. And that's such a valuable lesson, guys. I'll tell you, I don't know if I've even ever shared this before, but when I made the most money I'd ever made in my life, and I was just a single loan signing agent, that was before the book, it was before the course, before everything. I found a way to nail it before I scaled it, right? I was making more money than I'd ever made in my life, ever thought possible in this business for sure. And I never felt more poor and broke because that money just went right through my fingers because I didn't have the skill set. You know, my thermostat was set at 30,000 a year. That's the top I had ever made in a salaried position. So when I started making a lot more than that, I spent down to zero. So I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't have to manage it. I didn't have to invest it. And I learned that lesson a couple times the really hard way. So these skills that you're going to be learning is extremely important. All right, let's jump in. Let's see. What happened to my list here? Melissa Garner, thank you so much for your patience during that interlude. Welcome. What state are you in and how can we help?
So I'm in Florida and I have 3 real quick things. The first is just to touch on the person that mentioned before with putting notes and thank you notes and so forth. I basically had some of those made myself, kind of similar to my business card, and I always do a handwritten note. Nobody does handwriting notes much anymore, so it's kind of a nice little touch. The other thing really quickly is probably just a off the wall question is, has anyone ever had a fine line or felt like there's a fine line with having a realtor be the witness on closings? Because witnesses obviously are supposed to be neutral and not to have a vested interest in the transaction. And even though a realtor legally doesn't have, interest in the property, in a sense, they do have a vested interest because obviously they get paid upon, the sale or the closing of the property. So has there ever been any questions raised about a realtor serving as a witness at a closing?
Great question, Melissa. I love it. Laura, what do you think?
So I think there's a difference between an actual conflict and the appearance, excuse me, of a conflict. I have not ever had it questioned. Their interest is limited to the commission that they make. They do not have vested interest in the property. So if it's just a document witness, I don't really see an issue if they're there at the signing. So I haven't had anything come back. I haven't heard anybody say, don't let a realtor be a witness. There's nothing in statute. The direct conflict means they're actually within the transaction, meaning they're on the deed, they're getting property, they're selling the property. That's where their interest lay, but their interest is not there. Their interest is limited to a commission that was already predetermined.
And Laura,
okay, that's kind of what I thought too.
Laura, if I can ask a follow-up question too. Sorry, Melissa, I just want to do a follow-up too. Laura, how much of is it the responsibility of the notary to make that determination?
So I would tell you that it's not really my job unless there's something obvious to me that says, oh my God, there's a direct conflict here. It's not my job to question them further on what their interest is. Remember, we're not giving them an oath. They have a lower bar than other kinds of witnesses. So if something is pointed out to me, then I might pursue that. But if nothing's pointed out to me, I'm going to let them be a witness. If there's qualifications, meaning sometimes I get instruction to the notary, witness cannot be the spouse, witness cannot be a family member, witness cannot be this, then I'll follow those rules. And I'll say, here's what the requirement is. You cannot be family related by blood or marriage. Do you meet that requirement? You do? Great. That's it.
Okay. And just one other, and this actually kind of came up from Janae, something that she mentioned. So my very first big break with a title realtor company came, so I'm getting like all of their closings. So I'm like their sole signing agent. And I got invited to a social tomorrow evening, and I'm super excited, over 100 people invited. This is the first one that I've attended. So any kind of guidance on, just, meet and greet and, you know, talking, any special tips on questions to ask or who to hit up per se, or just anything for meeting all of these people in one place?
What a great opportunity, and congratulations. I think that says a lot about how they feel about you to even invite you to something like this. Now, what is the what's the event all about? Is it called a networking event, or is it called a social gala?
They just called it a social, I think they called it like a social mixer, and it's just pretty much everybody that works for the company. It's primarily a realtor company, but they have branched off into mortgage and title services. So I'm serving as their sole signing agent right now, which is wonderful, because then that's just all the business to me. But the owner of the company is going to be there, and then everybody trickling down from there. So it's just kind of a, you know, I don't know, just kind of looking, I mean, maybe a little bit nervous, but just kind of, you know, hey, you know, who should I really like hone in on, or any, you know, just anything, or just basically just mingle and, you know, hey, this is me. And
all right. So Laura, I know you have to go, so I'm going to pass it over to you real quick. Do you have any suggestions for an event like this?
You know what? I was asked a question in the middle of that, so
no problem.
I didn't get to hear the whole thing. If you could handle it, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I gotta go back to teaching, guys.
All right, you got it. We'll see you later.
Okay,
Melissa. I love this opportunity. So I think there's going to be all kinds of opinions on how you can do this. What I have, I think there's a way to optimize this and to just show up as an authentic human being at this event. If they're inviting you to a social, and it be social, let your personality come through, let the conversation flow. This would be one of those situations where I'd have a few business cards available if somebody asked for it, but I would not go with the intent of spraying those business cards around. If conversation comes up and somebody says, oh my gosh, it's a pleasure to meet you, we've needed somebody like you, I can't wait to use you, and they want to give you a business card, that's what I'd do. I'd be a collection, a collector of business cards on those, and find a system, whether it's folding the business cards, making a note on each one to remind you of the conversations that you might be having with them, and take control of the follow-up. So you can stay in touch with them. Don't count on them calling you. But then even besides that, if you panned up even more and you got no business cards and you didn't leave a single business card, that's almost even better. You're just getting to know them on just a human level, maybe having a couple cocktails, a couple celery sticks, whatever it is that they're having there, and they're getting to know you, you're getting to know them. Make a note in your phone or whatever it is when you run across somebody you just instantly connect with, and find a way to follow up with them. I'm sure they have a company directory. If they're real estate agents, they've got their face all over the websites probably. So you can follow up that way too. So don't make it about business cards, make it about authentic connection.
Got it.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Congrats on that opportunity. And I hope you keep us posted on how that goes.
I will. Thank you.
All right, guys, we got to wrap up here. It is past the hour by 2 minutes. Thank you for that extra time. And thank you for growing your business on a Tuesday afternoon. We'll see you same time, same place next week. Bye-bye.